Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid. Roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel and all my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading, look at everything. We take time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, see how they play it as karmic themes to help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is, and how you can shape shift the energy, especially if you're in a reality that you just don't want to be in anymore. And that's when you're connected to someone that continually hurts you, but you don't want to like them anymore, but you don't understand why you're still corded to them. Or when you are stuck in any like limited perception financially, anything that's happening within your life that you don't like is trying to tell you something. And there's many realities. So you can actually alchemize the energy. We get blocked and we get blocked in our situations. That's why it's really important to surround yourself with people that are going to love you, that are going to nurture you. And that's sometimes impossible to do if you work in a toxic environment or if your family is toxic. So, what would you do to create balance? Well, you're going to find that out on this channel because really I consider this more of a healing channel. Yes, I look at everything because we want to know that. But is it important that the toxic person comes back and pleads for forgiveness? Yeah, our ego wants that. But is it important from a spiritual perspective? No. But we can get stuck in the story of not understanding why they do what they do. And we don't want to be stuck ruminating because, again, then that's how that person can stay attached to us without them having to do absolutely anything. Now, why should you allow that? You shouldn't allow that, you know, because, you know, people that are toxic like to do that. Hurt people like to hurt people. All right, so let's just look at your energy. You guys know the deal. Anything of any importance or relevant in the channel is in the description box. Shadow healing coaching is done on school. I do have Oracle card shadow healing coaching that's on this channel for $7.99. But this actual school where you get the podcasts, you get the exercises, the PDF forms, you get chances to win free readings. You get to be part of the live stream. I get to see you. You get to see me. It's really interactive that way where, YouTube, we get to chat, but people tend not to do the exercises, and I have no way to see if they're doing the exercises, and it's a healing school. So you have to do the cognitive therapy. You have to do the exercises in order to heal. And so otherwise it's just oracle readings, which are fun and you do learn, but you don't learn as well, obviously. All right. I just wanted to put that out there. All right. I like to look at your energy first, just what do you need to know? And as I've been saying, readings don't take a day to unfold. I don't know who does that when they're like, oh, this message is for February 10th. It's not possible. Readings, there's no time. You get the reading when you need to hear the reading. That's how it works. It's that simple. And so, because a lot of times karmic themes take like much more than a week, 2 weeks, months. Sometimes they take years to play out. So, that's when we're doing spiritual readings. Now, does that mean that the person's going to do, that their habits aren't going to change? No, understand person usually will try something, and if it doesn't work, they'll change their strategy. So the readings will always change, but you're always dealing with the same karmic lesson, which is, it can make you feel not good enough, not having enough shame, guilt, whatever it is, defective, it's just a karmic theme that continues to play out that makes you feel a certain way about yourself, which is usually, you don't like it. So we all have spiritual blockages. It's if you're in the physical form, you're here to learn and to manifest. So it's not possible that you don't have spiritual blockages. Everybody has them because life is a school. You get the test first, the lesson later, just so that we are clear. This way you look at things from a spiritual perspective, not from a logical perspective. Looking at things from a logical perspective, you can say none of this shit makes sense. And I want to hold someone responsible. Who can I hold responsible? Oh, it was God. Because why was I born into this family? Why was I? So when you look at spiritual situations from a more spiritual perspective, you say, well, I'm here in the physical form to learn and to manifest. And I am born into families that teach me the karmic lessons based on what I need to learn, based on my soul's path, there's reason for everything. Understanding that reason like allows you not to judge on top of your spiritual block. Because when you judge, now you created a block on top of a block. So when we look at things from the right perspective, you get rid of that. All right. So like I said, I've just been pulling like random cards and just looking at your energy first, what you need to look out for, what you need to heal, what you need to integrate. And it could be just for your job. It could be, not even relationship. Sometimes it does bleed in, especially if the person's really toxic or it's a really important time within your life, the energy at hand, I should say. We're just pulling to pull. All right. And then we're going to pull like 3 from this deck. I like to read them all out at one time. Oh my God. That's too many. I said 3. I did not say 5 or 6 or however many there are. Should we take them? I always feel like there's no mistakes, but we're not going to take them. Like really, there are no mistakes. We can tend to say, oh, that's a mistake. It's a mistake. But really, God says everything happens for a reason. It might reroute you, right? Like it can reroute you where you think it's a mistake because you're like, I missed out on the opportunity that I wanted, or I missed out because of that person, where Spirit says everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. There's just many different realities that play it at one time. Either way, you're getting a lesson. All right. So we look at the energies that we need to look at or need to integrate. And Spirit says, breathing and cleaning. Have compassion towards others who may see the world through a difficult lens or experience. I like to read them separate than all together. Just follow along. Okay, being responsible with your sexual energy is wise. You are the boss of your life. You can hire, fire, and promote accordingly. Travel, and there's a decision at hand. Love is strange. Miracle. Holding on way too tight. We are here. And count your blessings. And then the last are worthlessness wound, despair wound, and forgiveness wound. Now, whenever we see forgiveness, I already don't like it. And the reason why is because Spirit says you're dealing with people and situations because that are going to require forgiveness. And the reason why is because you never forgave something. So again, you might have been brought up with a parent that was just a very difficult parent. Could have been a narcissist, could have been an alcoholic, could have not shown up. It's a collective reading. Only you know your personal story. But it's like there's still animosity. There's still animosity. And if it wasn't a parent, it might be a sibling, somebody that, was a very close relationship, someone that was supposed to show love. So what they did was they made you feel not good enough. They made you not feel like worthy, and so it created a lot of like this helplessness, hopelessness. Because when you have a parent that's continuously making you feel that way, they're actually trying to break your spirit. That's what it is. Like when a person, so I believe that you were born into a family where that parent was made to feel worthless. And the way that they dealt with you was the way that they were dealt with. And this is an ancestral curse. And so, and I say that because forgiveness is almost like the person doesn't deserve forgiveness. And so that's the issue. But then you attract people that you're like, okay, you're just fucked up. It's like, why do I attract people that deliberately go out of their way rather to like hurt me? And so, like, almost like when you're helpless, it's like, I don't have any control over my environment. And spirit says, you actually do, but it would, manifest first in cycles of suffering. you know they manifest as difficulty finding joy, with in relationships, a lasting sense of emptiness, or believing change is not possible, which is why I said that parent tried to break your spirit. It's like it's not possible, because you're conditioned at a young age to not trust yourself, to not like yourself, to think that the world isn't a safe place. So it's a big deal, because if it was a parent that made you do that. Now, we all have the gift of the Holy Spirit inside of us, and it takes a little while to listen to that voice. But before the whole despair, like before that happens, you're in despair, is what Spirit says. And it's mainly because, hey, like, you weren't treated well. You weren't treated well, and there was no forgiveness. Like, maybe that parent never forgave and then they died. So then on top of it, it's like you did that and then you really didn't care. There's a sense of you really didn't care. And so it's just a devastating energy, is what Spirit's saying. And I feel like you're dealing with a person, um, that their views on love are different from yours. The way that they approach life is different than you. I feel like city mouse, country mouse, almost. And it doesn't mean that one person lives in the city and one person lives in the country, but the way that they deal with things. And so, they might not understand you fully. Like, if you're very spiritual, let's just say, they don't understand that spirituality. They understand religion. They understand specific types of jobs. So they might not understand your job. They can't connect with you. Someone that's very conservative opposed to someone that's a free spirit. And so Spirit's saying it's not that, there wasn't a connection. There always was a connection. And the reason why Spirit's saying is, it's like love is strange. It's like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to be connected to someone that triggers you, that doesn't make you feel well, that brings out this karma that you grew up with already, right? Again, making you feel a certain way, because they don't understand the way that you live your life, or they perceive that your life is so easy, or they perceive something about you that they don't understand. But then, like, there's the opposite attract type thing. But then this person triggers you and you trigger them. How weird is that? Like, what is that? It's like, and Spirit's saying, it's like it's replaying, like karma for both of you, is what that is. And I feel like the cleaning is like, you probably have like a lot of nervous energy. And the nervous energy is like, this person makes you feel a little crazy inside, right? When people make us feel a little like crazy, or we feel out of control in a certain area of our life, we tend to want to make everything look perfect on the outside. It's an OCD issue, and it's a sign of that there's trauma. And that trauma is like, well, I'm not really that secure with myself, because I grew up in an environment that there's still a lot of pain there. Clearly, that's what this story is saying. So you keep attracting people like that, and one in particular, that's this person that you have a very spiritual connection. There is love, but it's doesn't make any sense at all. And, so I feel like the cleaning is that where spirit's saying, well, it's up to you, and that's the problem. You want this person, but you don't, which is why love is so strange, because it's like where spirit says, you're the one that's in charge of your life. You're the boss. You can hire, you can fire, and you can accordingly, but obviously it would bring you into a different direction altogether, you know. But, if the person is not allowing you to, to feel comfortable in your own body, right? Where if you grew up in an environment that you didn't feel safe because of a parent, understand you're not breathing, you're like holding your breath. That's what happens with trauma. That's why they tell you to do things like cold plunges to teach you how to breathe properly. You got to breathe through the uncomfortableness of things. I don't know about you, but I have a very hard time with that. Anyway, it's again, it's a trauma response. I'm that person that before you hit me with a needle, I'm going, ow, 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 like I'm one of those people. I'm not the cold plunge person, but again, it's a sign of trauma where spirit's saying it's like to breathe is to get back into your body, to be present, to be in the moment, and not be stuck in the what's going to happen, before it actually happens, is what spirit says, because you make it actually worse. And so that person kind of makes you like that, like hold like your breath. It's uncomfortable. It's like you're not able to be yourself, is what spirit's saying, which is why you should take a different direction, and that. And it's like, so this person wouldn't really care, like if you were giving them sex, you know what I'm saying? Like they want like that. They focus a lot on that. Like I said, it's almost like we don't think the same way. I don't really understand you. Um, you don't make me feel that comfortable because you think different. However, we're both really attracted to each other. Hey, Angel, we're really attracted to each other. There's like this chemistry. And so Spirit says the best thing that you could do is not sleep with that person, because understand then you're not grounded. Hey, Mr. West, Ashley, that's, don't, because you'll want to, because there's a strong energy. But the bottom line is that this person like is not, they don't think the same way that you do. It's like, and they wouldn't allow you to like explore like your life the way that you would want to, even if all they were doing was just having the connection sexually with you. You would grow an emotional bond. You don't think the way that they do, is what Spirit's saying. Spirit's saying they can be with you sexually and then not talk to you, and not, and it's not because they don't have feelings for you, but because this person's emotionally not available because they're disconnected. And what that would do is it would bring you back to a time like that you felt that way before, which Spirit says is like back to this, where like an energy of a person that's deliberately not treating you right, know that they're not treating you right, and not really caring that they're not treating you right. And you're like, well, what the fuck? It's like, if you care about me and you say that you care about me and we have these talks, why does it always look like this? And Spirit says, because you stay in a place of this despair. So you say, well, because you give that person too much, or you've given them too much. So, and I have too much time, too much energy. You're saying, I'm the person that's the doer. I'm the person that's the encourager. I'm the person that's the emotional person. That person is kind of there, but they're abusive. And if they're abusive by not giving me consistent love, they're abusive by the way that they do. So yes, we break up and we don't talk for a while, or they go where they go for a certain amount of time, and then we talk and then we miss each other. So you're back in that, you know, they're back in that, like where it's make up to break up, because nothing ever gets resolved. It's not that there's not feelings and passion and the connection, and that's all there. What's not there is the way that this person conducts themselves and their view of like how you live your life, who you are, opposed to like how they live or how they think that you should live, which no one should think that you should live anyway. So their idea of love is like you would be subservient, it sounds like, or you would like not really be as bold or be as free spirited. But the irony is everything that this person loves about you is what they don't want, is what they're trying to suppress because they're afraid somebody else is gonna, find it attractive, or you're gonna give someone else when really you're the person that has all the power because you choose whether you want to stay in a place of despair. And that's by if you give this person energy, expecting them to, just change. I want to see where they are now, meaning like just let's look at some hidden truths. Let's look and see what does this person think now? Because this is making it sound like that this person's coming back, but there's a fork in the road. And that's what this is making it sound like. And being that there's a fork in the road, that there's a decision and you already know about this person. However, there's a lot of chemistry, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of that. We've been getting similar readings like this. Not uncommon when you're dealing with energy, because it's what this person's thinking about. I will wait for a sign from you. See, coward, this person's going to see you're not coming back. That's what it is. It's like this person's starting to be like, you know, sitting in a space of I want you to come back, but I don't want to be the one to come back to you. And I don't like that energy, because why would a person do that? Well, they don't want to tell you everything. And they don't want you to have as much power. If they come back to you, you have to say, well, you didn't treat me XYZ. We need to go back and talk about what has transpired. They don't want to do any of that, so I don't like it automatically. I couldn't let you get close to me. And again, at the time. And like I said, this person's a control freak. They want you to nurture them. You were that person that was the nurturer, the giver, that energy. They love all that, but they don't want to give it. That whole equal give and take reciprocity, which means that you always have to be put in a place of subservient for this person to feel okay about themselves. They regret lying to you. I feel like this person lied about a lot of different things. And that one, for some, it could have been like that they were still dealing with somebody else, or that they were getting out of a connection, or they were leaving a connection. Like that there was something like that, but they were still dealing with someone, you know. And then they also created facades about what their life looked like, that they were really successful and making a lot of money, or, it wasn't real. So they could never let you get close because you're going to see right through that facade. It's like this person might have been dealing with a person that, they've been leaving for years now. And that's what they do. They go in and out of, relationships and not really giving to anyone because they don't really let anybody go, and here's this connection that they have with you. They don't like, they want to conduct their life the way that they still were conducting their lives. Don't you kid yourself? Because that's what this is saying. I wish I could take back my words. Yeah, see, this person already dug the hole where I think that they said things like, you're not really that important to me, or I don't really want this type of relationship. So they would actually have to come to you, they would, my hair is driving me crazy. They would actually have to come to you and say, I'm sorry. This is why I said that, or I got triggered. They don't want to do any of that. That's the problem. It's like they have to be accountable. You saw who this person is already. Now, that has nothing to do with feelings. Doesn't have to, but it's again, what you see is this person just wanted things their way, you know? We both know I'm not really the one for you, because it's like this person's not emotionally capable. If you wanted to have sex with this person and you wanted to like have like a, like it's a surface relationship where they didn't really show up for you, like, like for holidays and birthdays and to really be a part of your life. You would always be someone that you felt like was on the back burner, even if there was nobody there, because on an emotional level, this person doesn't really want that. And what they see is our ideas of what a relationship should look like are completely different. And so, you know, can't figure out why that person is the way that they are. You just have to say, well, if that's what they've been showing me, I mean, what have they been showing me? What has this person been showing me aside from emotionally not being there? And it's almost worse if they were giving, well, it's again that they check out, so they might drink too much, smoke too much weed. They don't want to deal with anything, is what you see. They want to be able to do what they want to do when they want to do it. So they're always going to be real controlling. And the problem is problems don't never get laid to rest, because this person doesn't want to talk about any of it. And it's just like past relationships. Like just I don't really want to change. It works for me because of past relationships. So what works for me is like the superficial, the shallow, like type of relationship. Like we pretend that it's a real relationship. From the outside, everybody thinks it's a real relationship. You're just emotionally not getting what you need. That's all. But they're expecting you to be there for them. So it's again this, they have too many barriers, again, caused from past relationships. It's just redundant. So it's like almost like, yes, I have feelings for you, but due to past relationships, I'm not going to do that. And the way that what you think is important in a relationship and what I think is important in a relationship are two different things. So, they weren't honest. I feel like that's what they lied to you about. They made it like they wanted a relationship. They wanted the same things that you did, obviously. And that is what made you give them energy and time until you realized that it wasn't being returned. And instead of this person dealing with it, they ran away. They avoided you. And now they're like, I still have feelings, but I'm going to wait for you to come back to me because I don't want to have to address any of that. And understand they've gotten people to call them and come back. That's why it's not the fact that you would actually do that. It's the fact that there are people out there that will actually settle for that. Because they'll say, oh, I could feel you. Because this person is trying to manifest you back. They're thinking about you. That's the energetic cord where you're like, why is this person? Like I can feel their energy. And the spirit says, well, it's a two-way thing. But if you're waiting for them to apologize to you, they don't want to do that, is what that says. That's why they're not coming back. Their pride, because it means I have to change. And I don't really want to change. I don't want you to have that much power over me. And that's not a person that you would want to be with. And so Spirit says the best thing that you can do in a situation like this is to say, why? Why did I attract this person? What do I need to heal? And how do I heal it? Because it's like I don't want to be with a person that, is like that, is so one-sided. Well, Spirit says, well, first of all, we already know why you attracted that person. And it's because of the forgiveness, again, and where the person makes you feel worthless because they're not going to come back and apologize. I have a strong connection to you, but I'd rather throw it away. And the words that I used really dug that grave. So I would really have to put time and effort and energy into fixing this. So Spirit says, like, so that would piss anyone off, by the way, because like, who the hell are you? That's why Spirit says that's why you're granted another direction. You don't have to go along with this person. It would be proper that this person would, like, I mean, on a karmic level, would they any more? There was forgiveness, worthless. Oh, and there was, like, again, that hopelessness, like, again, making you feel like I'm stuck with this person. Like, I love them, but if I'm going to be with them, I don't get anything. And Spirit says, so that's a direction, and it would mirror your how you grew up. So, we don't really want to, take that direction. But we have to say, well, what else needs to be integrated? What else needs to be from an inner child standpoint, right? That's what we're going to ask. That's what we can ask right now. And Spirit says, disassociation, safety and security, physical touch, support. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Neglect. Well, we already see it. Right, inner authority. So Spirit's saying, listen, growing up in an environment where there's trauma where it's neglect and emotional, right? It's like, that's how I feel like it was. Like, you didn't get that. There was no, like, support in that area. So again, children need that. That's what makes them feel secure. But if a parent's, like, neglecting them or ignoring them, or, there's detachment. And that's because children, then they're going to go play with their imaginary friend. They're not going to be present anymore. They're just going to, check out. And there's also, if there's no support where the parent is, maybe, like, acting like a child themselves, like drinking and partying and, running around with different relationships, and that child's not getting what they need, and they're seeing stuff that they really shouldn't be seeing. That's another reason. I don't know who I felt that for, but I feel like someone grew up in a real, like, party house, and they were around other people, and some of those other people were shady. So disassociation is how a child deals with it, how a person actually deals with, traumatic experiences that were so emotionally charged. They check out. They don't remember. They don't remember them. That's how the brain says, I'm going to keep you safe. We're not going to remember certain aspects of it. You don't need to. However, it's those parts, fragmented parts of self, that are still showing up within your relationships, still showing up with the way that you felt about yourself, which is, again, like, I feel worthiness. I wind up with people that make me feel like I'm not worthy of love. And the Spirit says, but you grow up with having, like, again, very strong intuition. So that that's not true. Yeah, like, and you might be like, yeah, I know that's not true, but this is what my life looks like. And Spirit says, because of you, so you have to integrate the fragmented parts of self, which I just feel like is, I felt worthless, because my parent would rather hang out with their friends, would rather party, would rather be with their boyfriend, would rather, deal with whatever they were dealing with and not deal with me. It's, again, that I was more like a problem. I was more like an emotional, like, just, my parent didn't have the withband to nurture me, because they were trying to get that emotional fulfillment for themselves, and that could be, hey, they might have been married, but married to somebody that didn't love them, like it, or felt like they didn't love them. So then it's like, again, being born into a generational curse, right? Where it's like, this is family karma, where winding up with codependent relationships where no one's being treated nice and everyone's miserable. And so Spirit's saying, it's like, that you don't need to stay in that trauma. It's time to transmute that. That's what you see that, because this person knows, if you haven't come back, If you haven't coming back, what the hell is that? If you haven't come back, that you're not coming back, and that they would have to come and apologize to you. So it's again, so what you know is you're not coming back. The worst thing that you could do is not come back, but not just not come back, but have your life look so much better, you know, than what this person like would have thought, because they get off on that. You know, there's a part of this person that did all that. They're not happy because of previous relationships. So they're going to take out on you what was done to them previously, because they also have not forgiven, right? And that's what happens. And so you become the target, but they're showing you automatically who they would be if you got into a relationship with them, because they can't apologize. They don't want to talk things out. They don't, again, so that's a no. Bold action. So Spirit's saying, take big steps that push you out of your comfort zone. You got to act decisively. Now, it's like, again, discernment. You you're not like part of my destiny. Spirit says the bold action that pushes you out of your comfort zone means join things. Like, go out into the world, find who you are. Because if you attract that person and actually thought about it for a half a second, you don't know your worth. Because that person wouldn't even spit on you if you were on fire. That's because it's, again, their pride, their ego has nothing to do with you, but it's neglect. And you already grew up with that. So Spirit says, go out into the world. It's like, act decisively. This is, again, use your discernment. You already have that. You have inner authority. You always had it because you were neglected in childhood. So it was just you and me, baby. God saying it. So I'm the higher self. Where do you think you were going at 3 or 5 or 6 or 7? You weren't going anywhere except for inside your little brain and into your imagination land, where, where you're connected to the astral level. So Spirit says that you have gifts. You gain deep wisdom already. Like, you went through this already. You know the signs. Spirit says it's about like walking through it, having unshakable faith. Meaning, like, just because you might have thought that this person you were going to be with, Spirit says that has a plan for you. Getting through this gave you resilience and perseverance that, not just you didn't think you would have, but you showed a lot of other people that you have. Spirit says the only way you need to be vulnerable is to embrace your authenticity. Put yourself out into the world, the way that you want to be presented. And a lot of times it's through your soul's calling, right? So, what is your reason why you're here? Your passion. A lot of you guys don't know what that is. And if you don't know what it is, then you need to, again, have a love affair with yourself and find it, because that's the most important aspect to life. Believe it or not, you might say, no, my bills are. No, listen, you can make more money doing what you're passionate about than you could ever do just getting a job, because money has no energy. It's connected to how you feel about yourself. So Spirit's saying your soul's calling is how you give and receive of love. So of course you have to be passionate about it. When you're in that energy and someone has treated you like shit, well, guess what? You should put on a show for that person, and you humble that person, because what you're saying is like, you didn't ruin me. You're not going to make me feel worthless. Not going to make me feel hopeless. I'm not hopeless because you're not the option. It's like, yeah, that you were an option for me, and not even a fucking good one. How about that? Spirit says it's like you be on your soul's calling. You give of yourself. You nurture yourself. And for those of you that's like, I'm tired, I don't want to do it, then Spirit says, and don't expect someone to want to come in and do it. I had this friend that I'm no longer friends with. And the reason why is because she hates her life. She has an autistic son that's difficult. Her boyfriend walked out. didn't want to be with her. She doesn't like to work. She doesn't want to work. She wants someone to come in and literally, and she says this, would say this to me every day. I want someone to just come into my life and like just take care of everything. And that's never going to happen. And I would say that that's never going to happen for you. And not because I wanted that for her, but because you need for it to happen. And when you need something, you don't get it. What you get is people that are exactly like you, right? So when you become who you're supposed to become and you fill your cup up all the way with the passion for life, that means getting it through friends. That's through getting it through hobbies, interests, networking, creating yourself, becoming yourself. This is how we can go with the flow of life. Being in the passion for life, the path unfolds while you're on it. You don't have to worry about any of it. It's the people in your life you have to be careful of. And so, again, a person like this who has not invested in themselves, because listen, what they were dealing with somebody else. And they had their hand in the cookie jar in other places too. That's your hobby. Your hobby is that to like run around and lie and pretend that you want a relationship with a bunch of people. I mean, that's a waste of time. You're not going to manifest anything of that. You're not going to attract people of quality. So you could say, well, why was I? Because Spirit says, because there's only two energies, love and fear. So until you fully know yourself and know that I don't make anything that's worthless, God says, I live inside of you. Your body is the temple for me. So why would I make you worthless? That doesn't even make sense, Spirit says. So it's people will make you perceive. And so you're surrounded by people that like to perceive that, hey, there's something wrong when there's nothing wrong. You need to go into the unknown, meet new people, meet people that are going to meet you for who you are today, not the wounds of your past. And when you meet them, talk about the things that you're doing, where you want to go, what you want to do. Don't tell anybody about your trauma from the past. Don't tell anybody that you dated someone that treated you badly. Don't tell anyone anything. They want to know you, make them invest time in you. And the reason why is because most people have a closed heart chakra. And the only way our heart opens is by giving, right? That's again, we think it's by getting, but really it's by giving, right? So Spirit says you need to go into the unknown. The situation was to help you integrate all facets of yourself because you were disassociated, and that comes from detachment. There was fragmentation there because you were neglected. You were made to feel unworthy. You were made to feel not good enough to the point that you were angry for a long time. You needed to forgive. You didn't forgive. It's that weighed on you for so long that you attracted people and situations, and your habits and behaviorisms were in alignment with how you grew up. So you taught people again on how you want to be treated by ignoring your needs, by you acting worthlessness because you weren't investing in you. Spirit says, I gave you free will to choose, but this is how you chose. So understand you didn't know any better because of the way that you were raised. But unfortunately, it's you still have to deal with the karma, but you break the karma is what Spirit says. And that's by seeing beyond the illusion that it's not real. It's a perception that you're an empowered soul. And again, everything to help you integrate all facets of yourself. That's why this situation happened, not for you to be with this person. So for you to be like, you know what? You don't think the way that I think. We're not on the same vibration. You're showing me who you are. That's it. Spirit says, instead of you holding on and being like, well, that person didn't come back. They're not coming back. And they have feelings for me, but they refuse to come back. Or I have to settle for that. And Spirit says, or you could take a new direction. And the new direction would be to take curtain number 2. And that's the trip around the world, the new car, the house, and whoever, Billy Bob or Jana Marie, like you get the deluxe package instead of the Zonker. You know what I mean? It's like, don't do God's job. Let do your job. Because when we say, I want this person, Spirit says, you don't know everything about that person. If it's so difficult, trust me, it shouldn't be that difficult. Just because there's a strong spiritual connection, who cares? It's like, it doesn't mean anything. It's karmic. And that is, again, and that karmic is just coming in to teach you something that you need to heal about yourself. And they didn't need to stay for as long as they stayed. Again, elevation. So, which is why you're here. To evolve into the highest states of consciousness is to move into that energy of unconditional love. So Spirit says, free yourself from fear and trust in the universe. Direct your thoughts to the beauty inside and around you. You use your spiritual strength and knowledge to create light, and you rise above all doubt about yourself. Spirit says, like, you're not here by mistake. You're here by my design, and that you have purpose. And anyone that makes you feel undervalued or acts that way, then they're not your people. Don't be afraid to go into different places, join different groups. In this way, no one has too much power over you. When people think you need them, they create this weird leverage, and then all of a sudden you don't know why you're not being treated right. Spirit says, show people that you have many different options, and just as they disposed of you, well, you didn't really notice because you had so many other options. Like that, you never, what you're saying is, I never put that much time into you anyway. If we didn't mesh because you're not consistent, or all of a sudden you flipped on me, or all of a sudden you have other people, you have other hobbies, you have other interests, and that teaches people like that you can sustain yourself. No one can ruin you. No one can take you off your path. Only you can. And that's by choosing to be with that person, with them being like all arrogant. Or again, choose yourself. And Spirit says it's time to choose yourself. Because why would you want to be with someone that makes you feel like neglected? You don't. You want to break that. You want to break that generational curse. It's time that you do that. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Now I can answer your questions. I am from St. Augustine, Florida, originally from New York. Westbury, Long Island. Then I moved to Manhattan. I lived in Manhattan for over 20 years. And then we moved to St. Augustine because my husband was hit by a cab. Yes, on my birthday, no less. Again, that was very traumatic. And that, again, is how I felt the time. Like, again, I never was able to celebrate my birthday. My mom never celebrated my birthday. And that was very traumatic to me. So my birthday isn't really a good time. It's like the good things don't happen on my birthday is what I've noticed. And it's because it was embedded in me that I was like a mistake, that there was like not wanted, that I wasn't loved. It was done like at such a young age. And the reason why is because I was born overly sensitive. I inherited my sensitivity from my dad, and my mom was very strong clairvoyant, but again, she suffered horrible trauma because my grandfather came home from World War II and he was an alcoholic. And so, you get your psychic gifts from living and survival, but my mother never got delivered. So I think a lot of negative spirits were what came to my mom. She could see, but she was like a narcissist. She used that energy to take you down per se. So you had to have eyes in the back of your head growing up where I grew up, because she was like that. Everything was a trigger because that's how it was for her. And my father was an alcoholic that got cancer 8 times. And that's not including the upper and lower back surgery, 2 hip replacements, and all the other things that he had. Spiritual sickness is what I grew up in, which gave me my gifts. But that didn't mean I didn't need healing. I need a lot of healing. And that's why I created this group. because of my own life. I never had anywhere to go. I never had anyone to talk to. So I used to tell everyone my trauma. And to the point that people would meet me and they'd be like, I don't want to hear it about your mother. Can you believe that? I'm like, I'm telling you, my mother tried to kill me several times. And you're like, oh, I don't want to hear it. It's like there was nowhere for you to go if you were abused, no one to talk to, no one, so you had to deal with it. And the and all the it's not even deal with it when you're living in there, it's the karmic looping that continues to play out of the same karmic themes from that trauma. And so there was nowhere like, so I would go to random psychics, and some were, none of them were really helpful. I got to be honest with you. They were accurate, but they never told me why. Why? Why is this happening? Why does my life look like that? Why am I attracting this person? Why do people bully me? What? And I would try and change my personality. I would try and I would try to change everything in the environment to get a different reaction, and I couldn't. These bangs are going to be the death of me. I need a haircut. Anyway, so you know what I mean? It's like that. So I created the shadow healing coaching program for that particular reason, because when people don't vent and they actually do go to a psychic, because I had this experience happen to me twice last week, not once but twice, which is why spirit says we should talk about it on the channel. They came to me, and when you go to a psychic, you're not supposed to say anything. Some people say, oh, you can ask a question. That's if you're using cards. You don't ask a prophetic healer anyway, because that's what I am. It's again, I was a master psychic healer until I got delivered. Now I'm a deliverance coach and a prophetic healer, because I still have that ability, but the difference is it's channeled through higher beings. It's not channeled through just any random spirit, right? And so the difference is that, where a lot of people don't realize. So when you're going to someone like that, you're not supposed to say anything. You keep your fucking mouth shut. You're supposed to sit your ass down and be like, and have that person channel. These people came to me and they would not shut up, to the point that I had to tell them, usually when people come to me, they don't talk. Please don't say anything. Please stop talking. Please stop. They couldn't do it. And they couldn't do it because they were stuck in their trauma. They would stop and then they would get triggered by another story and go back into it. And that's because they have nowhere to talk. So I let both of those women run way over session. First one, 2 hours, and the other one, an hour and a half. And it's because they have no one to talk to. One lady finally cried. And that was before she was like, I don't think this is working, she told me. And I was like, okay, like we can shut it down. But then she went back to it, complaining about all her stuff. And then she burst out crying on the couch. And then I said, do you want to get that healing now? And she said, yeah, because I do a sound bath and a crystal healing and a bunch of, because she needed the clearing, because she was holding on to this pain and this anger for so long, no one to talk to about it. No one wants to hear it. So the shadow healing coaching program, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's through my school, the school obviously has a more in-depth school. But either way, it's like I wanted it to be a safe space that people could share their trauma, people could talk about it, because like I said, there is no way where for people to do that. And thank you, Mr. West Ashley, that my show has taught you more about healing childhood trauma than searching for the right one. Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that it does, and that's what the channel is there for. It's to help you heal. Because I know what it feels like firsthand. I mean, I got certified in over 10 different, I think 15 actually, different healing modalities, and not just not just spiritual ones, but cognitive therapy, EFT, breath work, a lot of different healing modalities to help you heal and recondition and make it affordable. I had another client reach out to me that told me that if she was to go to this brain-based therapist, that she would have to, come up with two car payments. Like it's like equivalent to her paying two car payments a month. And that's because her deductible, she doesn't have a good deductible. She doesn't have, so, when people go out and they try to find that help and then they get rejected, or have a therapist that they don't really feel like connected to, because that therapist is saying, "Oh, so what do you think about it?" And the person's like, "I don't know. That's why I'm here." You know, we accept everyone. You don't need any insurance. It's affordable. It's tools to help you heal, and you can heal the effects of trauma. It might take you a little bit longer. It might not, depending if how consistent you are and what you do. Back in the day, there wasn't all these therapies, and we see people that had severe trauma but still excelled within their life, such as Van Gogh. I mean, that guy like was crazy, right? He excelled in his life because of his art. He escaped life. He escaped the pain because of his passion. So Helen Keller, another person, it's again, she escaped the limitations of herself through her passion. So we have the spiritual capability to do that, but also if you are healthy within your physical body, you can actually manifest something in the physical realm that takes you all into a whole other reality altogether, not just one within your mind, where you actually create something. I mean, Helen Keller is amazing. She like created something from her mind and needed to translate it to people, and people figured it out, but she changed the world through that everybody has purpose. Sometimes we don't understand why things are the way that we are, but understand if you're going through something real difficult and real hard, it's because you're meant to do amazing things. Remember, you're down here in physical form to learn that there's no separation between you and your creator, God. How would that happen? By you staying small. What separates us from that perception is our trauma. Once we heal our trauma, well, then it's easy. It's easy to imagine. And once you can imagine it, you can create it. I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me this morning. And until next time, be true to you. Bye-bye.